Hello guys and welcome back. This is Baron and today I'm going to talk about something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I finally have enough data to actually bring this information to anyone who wants to listen really, but mainly it is to try and get most of you players out there to start talking, and hopefully that the developers of Ubisoft are willing to listen. There's been a lot of ideas and thoughts of how the game can improve, why people are leaving, and what things are good and what things could be tweaked. So, with the help of two guilds, the first one is Valhalla. We asked both the main guild Valhalla and we asked the Valhalla Cadets questions, like a TCES community survey, so to say, just to see what do they like about the game, what do they dislike about the game, what would they like to have seen added to the game. So we asked them all in Valhalla this question. The same questions was dropped for Elite Titans 1, 2, 3 and 4, and this is what I've been able to accumulate. I've also had some thoughts from France Legion, and from what also had a little bit of input from Rogue Syndicate, from a few members there as well. So it's a big mashup really of thoughts from a lot of people, and it was surprising that a few of these points were very dominant, which means they are a big concern for a lot of players. Anyway, so this is what I found so far. So I'm going to call this the TCS Community Survey Feedback, and the term was actually coined by Elite Titans, but I like it, so I'll keep it. So I'll start off with the favorite things that people have about Elite Squad. The gameplay cycle. By gameplay cycle, they mean that they like how you move the operators in Season 2, really. The change from Season 1 to Season 2. People are endorsing it and they're liking it a lot, so they do like that, so that's a big plus. The ability to move your soldiers around and having to activate your abilities. So that was a good move, even though it was initially met with resistance, to be fair, but it seems like people come around to it nowadays, and especially new people have nothing to compare with. They do like the variety in events, because in the event section you have, for instance, Operation Bullet Shield that used to be there before, so that one is not specifically new. But then you also have Rapid Reflection, you have Ability Buster, which was there before, and then you have Operation Counter Control. They also added Behemoth as one of the events. People also like the variety in soldiers, meaning that there are many soldiers to choose from. Here the debate goes a bit both ways, because other players of the game also said that they did not like the fact that there were so many soldiers. So here people are a little bit divided. Some people seem to think that it's overwhelming, it will take a long time to grind all these heroes, whereas other people feel like the option of having heroes to choose from is beneficial, because you can select which ones you want to try and aim for. So the jury's out, so to say, because there's no clear winner. Some people like it, some people don't. And the other one that people like is the in-game animation. The in-game animation is basically when you trigger an ability and that character makes an animation. I currently have it turned off because I find that it takes entire time from the game when I play, especially for Arena. I want it to go quick. But I have to admit, I turned it back on after reading the feedback, and I like it. I mean, it's nice. I turned it off again, but I still like them. So initially when I started playing the game in the beginning, I loved seeing the animation because the game was new. But then later, as you play the game, I turned it off because I found that it was a bit time consuming from the game. But that's just me. But a lot of people like the in-game animation, which is a good plus, because it means that the developers are going in the right direction by keeping this in the game, and people feel like it's not just chest moving around, something happens when you trigger the ability. Elite Squad can be played without people feeling that they need to invest a lot of time. And I think this is down to the individual, because if you are an officer or a guild leader, you will most likely be spending more time in the game making sure that members are doing well. But that's not really just playing the game, that's more like overseeing the guild and making sure everything is up to par. But if you're a player just playing the game, people seem to think, the majority of people in this questionnaire seem to believe that it's fairly simple. You don't have to spend a lot of time every day to just play the game. You log in, you do your activities, you wait 6 or 7 hours for the arena and the campaign energy to renew, and you log back in again. People also seem to know that at certain times, depending on where you are in the world, you will receive the campaign refreshes, usually 3 times a day. So people like this, that's a plus. So these things are plus, these are good things. People also appreciate, and I think this speaks more maybe to late game players, that the legendary operators are relatively easily to obtain. When the challenges went from monthly to weekly, there was initially a bit of an uproar, but now a lot of people are saying that it is better because you do get more platinum prestige, you also get a lot of silver, you don't get legendary keys like you used to, but you get keys for the new heroes in the special forces orbs, and then from the special forces orb you get legendary keys. People are still okay with this. They still think it's a good idea going in a good level, because it means that you can track your progress week per week, and there's always it also means that you will have a rival event, you will have an arena event, you will always have something that you need to fill. So people do like the weekly events more than they used to do with the monthly events. So that was a good improvement from the developers to move from monthly to weekly. There's more rewards without having to feel like it's a struggle to feel. So sometimes players, when they do monthly, they would cap it within a week, and then, or let's say 2 weeks, and then they had nothing else to do. Now at least you refresh, and then you have a chance to do this every week. So I personally like it, and it seems the people of the game do too. Daily challenges are fast and easy to complete, and I agree, they are. I mean, you log in, you do your arena, you do your campaign, you do the daily ops, events, you open an orb, you donate some intel. It's very easy, you already have it as a routine, or at least I do when I log in, and I'm sure many of you guys do too. So people like the challenges, and I'm going to get back to that one a little bit further down the line, because people have some thoughts about the daily challenges as a whole. But overall, it's consistent and people like it. People can do what they call a lot of theory crafting. This basically means that you try to find heroes that work well together, but of course not clumping everybody in a group of 5, but maybe you take 2 people, for instance, Fury and Vasily is a good example. They work well together because of the intimidating perk, and then people like to play Leon and Anna because they complement each other really well. This is theory crafting. People are trying out new ideas. So people do like the fact that the game offers up a lot of theories, and that you can discuss it with your guildmates or people in the general Discord at Tom Clancy's Elite Squad Discord. So people like that. A lot of comments as well, both from Elite Titans and from Valhalla, is that people find the community to be really well. There's a lot of people are willing to do a lot, and I think that it's further enhanced within the guilds, because obviously you help each other, you talk to each other. Something that a lot of people also mentioned was that if you're a pay-to-play or if you're a free-to-play, both have a shot, because the orbs are random. So if you do get 145 intel, for instance, in one orb, you skyrocket that hero very quickly. Of course, if you are paid to play, you will purchase a lot of the intel that you require, but that doesn't mean that when the next cycle comes around the corner, you won't be able to hit it anyway as a free-to-play player. It just means that the pay-to-play player got there first, but you'll probably catch up, hopefully, by the next cycle if you plan correctly. And people like this because it doesn't mean that one person runs away and you never catch up. These are the things that people thought were good about Elite Squad. So my next topic is least liked things about Elite Squad. The one thing that got a lot of votes, both in, not votes per se, but the one thing that got a lot of comments in both Valhalla and in Elite Titans, was that the developers could communicate a little bit better. When Season 2 was released, or prior to release, there was a lot of feedback, which was taken up, which was really good because the developers were at least communicating and taking it. But aside from that time, players in the game don't feel like the creators of the game listen anymore, and that's a big minus, and that's a huge thing because a lot of people, according to the survey, thinks this. We don't ask the developer should answer every question, but it's nice if it's possible for someone to make an FAQ and then answer all the questions if possible, or at least as many as possible, so some of the questions can be laid to rest. But that was the one that had the most remarks, that the developers don't communicate as well. Another point was that the game feels very stale. I know we mentioned that there's a lot of variety in events, variety in soldiers, those are good things, but the game is stale because you go into territory war, it's already in a flux, you know what to do, you know that you're gonna be doing season A, B, C, and D, you know what's coming. That's not the problem, or the arena, you're playing against meta teams, but you're still basically playing against bots anyway. So it doesn't really make a huge difference, they're just playing with your team. And this is something that people have found to be slightly stale. So the other one that people mention is that too many bugs. And yes, I have to agree, there are a lot of bugs. I keep seeing in the guild, people are reporting bugs this, bugs that. So there's a lot of bugs going around. An option that I had that I think the developers might at least easily implement is that for as long as we keep having these bugs, and some bugs aren't even removed for a long period of time, they've been in the game for quite a while, is that every player should be compensated for 100 gold every day in the daily rewards section. Just by logging in, you get 100 gold. This means that the players that actually play get 100 gold, because most of the time when bugs appear is, for instance, in arena, you get a blank screen, you get that the game freezes, or you kill off the team but the game doesn't go anywhere, it just freezes. And that was you using up 50 gold to get them like 5 tries in arena, but then you can't use it anyway because you lost one, and then maybe you lose the third game, which is frustrating. And that's why I thought that if people at least felt like they got something back, so even if they lost that one, you know, they could still do it again. So that's why I said 100 gold, and this is something that I've spoken a little bit to Valhalla, to a few players, and they felt like if it was 100 gold, they get something for that time when they lose. But having the extra gold doesn't hurt the company at all, because there will always be people who will doing pay to play, and the free to play players just gained 100 gold, which they could very easily or quickly use up in arena, or they'll just buy campaign or even the events. So it's not a huge loss from Ubisoft if they added 100 gold every day just by logging in. Another thing that people brought up is the unpredictability when it comes to territory war, mostly because it's so random. It doesn't go A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, it's all over the place. This also refers back to the game being stale, because everybody knows what's going to happen. Everybody knows that when Season 8 comes around, it's going to be Fixit, Sueno, it's probably gonna be Weaver as well, because you got Fixit 10. And then Fury is going to be in the mix, and of course if you have Fury, you're going to have to throw in Basilius. So it's basically the same team throughout all the season, but with different heroes, but for the most case it'll be the same heroes in all the seasons, so it's not much of a change. The initial idea, I heard this initially from France Legion. It was a concept that they had been talking with Rogue Syndicate as well, from a few members from there, so it made me think that, okay, well, if you guys have thought about this, and I know I have thought about something similar, but they at least had a more outlined plan, and I heard some of the ideas similar to people in Valhalla. Elite Titans brought to me some information as well, so from that information they would have liked, collectively, this is what I basically managed to mush up together, is that territory war is good. the way it's been designed now, it's good. The nodes are easier, you know where to go. However, instead of the developers now calling it season A, B, C, and D, they should, to make it more competitive, to make it more random, like it used to be in season 1, but still obtaining season 2, would be to use the developers have a randomization somehow. They pick 4 factions, and out of these 4 factions, that becomes for the next season. So players have a 2 weeks notice that they know what to plan for. They know that for the next time you guys are going to be playing against Hawks, you're going to be playing against Rainbow Red, you are going to be playing against Ghosts, and you are going to be playing against 4th Echelon. So these are the 4 factions for that node, for all the guilds. So there's no randomization for each guild separately, but everybody gets these. It would change things up because it now also means that people have to talk in their Discord. They need to, okay guys, these are the heroes we're going to be using. What can we pick? What can't we pick? And in many cases, obviously, when Ghost season comes around, people will pick that. But maybe this time it will be Ghost, Rainbow Six Blue, which means Buck, Monty, all these heroes will be there as well. But maybe another season it will be a little bit mixed up because you'll be playing with heroes that, like Mitchell Squad, for instance, comes in, and you'll be having heroes that you don't normally prioritize, which will still make the game interesting because it's a challenge this time. Now people know exactly what heroes to have, they know what heroes to rank up and gear up. This is just an idea, and I endorse it because I think it's a really good idea. It still brings a little bit of the randomness from season 1 and bringing it forth into season 2, but keeping it the same way as season 2 is designed, a 2-week time, like it runs for 2 weeks, but the factions are randomized. The developers will tell, preferably 2 weeks, so once a season starts, they should tell what the next season is so that players can prepare just like they intended. When it comes to in the rosters, like for instance when you go into arena or you go into campaign mode, people would have preferred that you had the option of, for instance, maybe giving a hero like your favorite. So whenever you go into arena, your favorite heroes will always show up at the top because these are the heroes you usually use, instead of having to scroll endless rows of heroes that you don't need for this, like for the arena, for instance. So people would, it's not specifically just for arena. Wherever you have to scroll through your heroes, if you already have a favorite hero, which in, you know, Anna for instance, or Fury, Vasily, then you could mark them and they'll show up at the top instead of having to randomize and go through and find it. So this is a point that a few people mentioned that they would have preferred, so they can have his favorite characters. In the campaign, which I have to attest to when I made my other account for a video I'm also doing a guide, free-to-play guide from start to finish, and having played in season 1 and finishing it versus now, the battle tech in many cases is overpowered and makes it really difficult. And I mean, okay, I'm not gonna say I'm a super experienced player, but I'm pretty good. And running it in the beginning when you start over from scratch, it's not easy at all. Even though you have a team that's, you know, above the skill rating, it's still not easy. So a lot of people would have liked that to be addressed in the campaign now, and maybe just scale it back just a little bit to make it more manageable. I'm actually going to read it just as it says. How easy it is to request the wrong operator in the guild request menu. It's happened to me a few times as I'm scrolling through to pick a hero, and then all of a sudden, bloop! And then I'm like, nope, did not want to request that hero. And I see I'm not the only one. So people may want to have like a confirmation coming up, like, are you sure? With a name, like, are you sure you want to pick this hero to be selected? Or are you sure you want Alicia to be, so you can at least have a chance of saying no? And a lot of people requested that, to be honest. Pretty much every other post was about how easy it was to press wrong by mistake. So that's the least things. I'm going to move on to features that people would like to be added to the game. And this is quite a long list, but hopefully you can manage with me. They would like something called Operator Training Mode. I'm going to read exactly what it says. It's an area where an operator can be deposited to gain extra intel or experience for over a period of time. However, it will restrict that hero or operator from being used in game modes while in training. So it's a locked time. This means they gain the intel or experience without the use of energy or silver, but it restricts their use while locked in the training mode. So for instance, let's say you have a hero that you like to bring from 9 to 10, or you would like to gain intel towards that hero. So depending on how many days you lock it, you receive, for instance, 5 intel. Or if you want to upgrade that hero and the last attempt is, let's say, 750 silver, or you don't have enough tokens, locking that hero for a certain amount of time will give you the ability to upgrade that hero. I think this speaks more to free-to-play players, and I think it's a really good idea actually, because having that option of sacrificing a hero that you normally do use a lot, it also means you use that hero a lot, so giving the chance that you can upgrade it further and use it more later is really beneficial, especially, as I mentioned, as a free-to-play player. So I do like that point. I'm just concerned how the developers would implement it, but if they have an area in the coming soon section, yes, we know, the dreaded coming soon section, maybe, as you said, an operator training mode where you put the hero in, however, only one hero, not multiple, one hero, and then it's basically up to developers to decide how they would like that to go along. But yeah, if the developers would like to, reach out to me, I have a lot of data to share with them from players and what they thought. So the other mode that people talked about is the firing range mode. I mean, I love these names. They even name these things. But yeah, this is the firing range mode. Basically what this is, it's an area to test out squads and squad builds without using energy, where you can manually set the stats of all the operators on your team and the enemy team. I mean, then we're referring to stars, gears, and so on. There's no rewards, there's no XP earned. It's purely for testing and theory crafting builds. To be fair, straight out the bat, I love it. How it's going to be implemented, I have no idea, but I love it. it's really good. So, but yeah, it's basically a place that doesn't cost any energy or anything, and it also gives players something to do while waiting for arena, or waiting for campaign, or waiting for the events to refresh, have something to do, because a lot of times I have nothing to do on the game. So having this, at least I'll have something to play around with in the background while I wait for my resources to replenish. So I like that. I really think the developers should look into an option of giving us just a gameplay where we can practice with the heroes. Maybe not as much where we can, alter the stats and such, but maybe where we can choose what heroes we face to practice against arena teams, I suppose. Maybe more that we can swap the enemy stars and the gear level, and maybe we keep the stars we have currently, just to keep it simple. But obviously if the developers could do something like this, that would be amazing. But yeah, developers, listen up. This is ideas that we're bringing to you guys, and pay attention. I mean, this is over 200 people that have participated in this, and it was really good feedback. The other event, it's called the Multi-Squad Survival event. If you guys have played the first division that came out, when you play in waves, you go down to the harbor and you play the waves and you try to survive as long as possible. So basically this setup would be that you have 2 or 3 squads selected at the beginning. So you make your first team, you make your second team, and you make your third team. So you allocate heroes. So once a hero is used up in one squad, you can't use that for the other squads. And then you will basically face infinite waves of enemies that will get increasingly more difficult. As a squad gets fully wiped out, the next squad you have selected enters the battle. So if it's an ongoing battle, and for instance you wipe your team but you manage to kill 2 of the enemy, The game will pause, the game will introduce your new heroes, and then continue. The longer you can survive, the better the rewards. At certain wave numbers, you could even offer bonuses to your squad, such as healing or extra damage. So this is basically lots of possibility. This is down to the developers, because I like these. These are really good ideas, and I see how they can be very easily used in this game, because Ubisoft created Elite Squad and it's a unique game. I've heard many players say that this is a unique game, but they also find it stale. It's the same thing. And I think this, like a lot of the ideas here, will change things up a bit. I'm not sure how the multi-squad survival event would actually go, but again, if the developers want to talk and get some more ideas, I'm right here. Something that I would like to bring up as well, that I noticed some people mention, is that let's say you play, I'll show you guys here, it's a lot easier like this. So here obviously it's not as much, but if I go into supply depot, I have almost 300 for the guild. So if I want to buy something for the guild, like these orbs, I would have to press these orbs one at a time. Like, why isn't there an option of buying and then you can press how many times you want to buy that orb? Like, or why isn't there like ×5? Why is it always just one? I don't know how this would be implemented to make it look good, but yes, this is something I've been wanting at least 6 months back. So if they could do that, that'd be amazing. And imagine back then we only had 60 arenas, 60 guild, and now we have like 300, which makes it more. And especially now when you did the I finished this event, and I'm sure many like the bullet shield, I had like 7,000 of the elite gear. I mean, I was spamming that button until it broke. So having that option of doing ×5 would be really awesome. So I hope they could do something like that. So the next part is features that players would like Elite Squad to update or completely change. People mention also the coming soon area needs to be addressed. Like, why is it still coming soon? I'm hoping that coming soon is for the multi-squad survival event, it's for the firing range mode, and for the operator training mode. I really hope so, because that'd be amazing. Territory War needs a better overhaul. You should face off against teams that are relevant to the operators in the season you are using, and not just the simplicity of facing arena teams. I like that. That's a very well-versed sentence. I do like how they said. I mean, if you are using certain factions, you should be playing against the opposing factions if possible, like rogues versus division and so on. Especially if you do the multi-squad survival event, you could actually tailor it and saying that, okay, in this event you are using division agents, you are using, and that on and on and on. And then you'll be facing off against waves of the antagonists, because people currently feel that it's more of a guild arena, because you make a team in Territory War, but then you're just facing off against arena teams anyway. It's nothing special. And this is something that a lot of comments in both guilds mentioned, and I'm sure if I reached out to other guilds, I'd probably be hearing something similar. But yeah, I'm just letting everybody know that this is how people feel. Healers in the game should probably get a revamp. They should be rebalanced, or at least looked at again, to make more healers viable, because as it stands, it's Leon, maybe Finka when she gets high enough, otherwise it's Doc. But what about the other? I mean, there's a lot of heroes in there that can do healing. It's just that they're not looked at because they don't have the same reach or competitiveness. So I really hope the developers could maybe go back and rebalance them to make them more viable. It should also be easier to farm endgame materials such as epoxy and mesh. It's not going to get any easier when you now have tier 11, where you'll have to bring in the same material again. So maybe this should be addressed, or at least given the chance that you can actually farm rank 5 material rather than the components to make rank 5. I know you can get them in the elite orbs, but it's just not enough. It's too long of a haul to keep doing it. As a free-to-play player, it's a nightmare. I mean, I tried on my alt, like for the one for the training guild, it takes forever. So even as a pay-to-play player, you still have to grind a lot, but you keep buying a lot of campaign energy to keep farming. But yes, I really think that this is something that needs to be looked at, or at least reintroduce into some of the existing nodes, into the existing campaign levels today. Just make some of those tier 5 and then throw in mesh. It really has to do. Another point was the territory war tokens, like that you used to have when you were unlocking the different nodes. Why are they still there? Like, we're still getting them apparently. Can we change them for something, or why are they there? And this is the most important point that I found. It is the rank 10 ability. When you've suffered, you've grinded, you've spent time, tokens, money, everything to get that hero from rank 9 to rank 10, and you get nothing. Yeah, okay, fair. You level up the hero just a little bit. He gets a few stats here and there. His skill rating goes up a bit, but there's nothing else. Before, when a hero was rank 8, they unlocked a leadership ability if they were of a legendary character kind of type. And this is something that, again, developers and players of the game, a lot of players in this survey, a lot, they felt like you work very much to get a hero from 1 to 10. And then when you hit 10, there's no hidden ability unlocked. So I have to agree. Once you go all the way up to 10, maybe there should be something, an extra ability that it's unlocked. And I think it should be fairly easy. Maybe try it out on a few heroes. Maybe not every hero, but give a few of them extra abilities. Not the legendary ones specifically, but randomized. Like I know Blizz usually had one where he added more damage, or I think it was damage at least, to the Last Man Battalion, for instance. So yeah, I really hope that one comes back, and others. But yeah, people want that when a hero hits 10, give them something. Let them get an ability, or maybe even higher stats, but I think people want them to have another ability, maybe a second passive ability, or an improved passive ability, or an improved active ability. Which also means that people, they see the value of getting a 10 star, because then the hero becomes so much better, instead of just increasing the stats. But yeah, this is the survey, asked for roughly 200 people, and this is what I got back. There's a lot of stuff in writing and pictures and everything that I've been given from people, so there's a lot of stuff here. But I hope the developer gets the consensus that this is what people have compiled. It's not just random voices on the Discord, but this is people asking questions. The questions were very simple. It is, what are your favorite things about Elite Squad? What are your least favorite things about Elite Squad? What features would you have liked to be added? And what of the existing features would you like to be updated or changed? Those were the topics that people had to choose from, and a lot of people responded. So I'm really happy about that. There you have it, guys. This is what I could bring to you guys for the TCES community survey feedback. So yeah, I really hope that developers listen to this, and I hope that someone shares it with some people in power, and we can bring this game up to much higher heights and bring in more people to the game. And I think that's what we all want in the end. Thank you so much for listening. I know it's a really long video, but thank you so much.